Yes, that means we're supposed to start. I want to thank everybody for not only being here, but all the support we've had in the last couple of weeks, both food, gifts, fellowship. Pretty incredible. I hope all of you will take time to look at this picture over here. If you want to see Joyce's real inner self, I call that exuberance. She had just landed a parachute on a float in Maui, and she'd never done anything physical before because her parents were country parents. They didn't play sports. All they did was work. And so 5 of us took the parachute ride, and this was back when you had to go off a float, and you had to land on the float, so she had to steer the parachute to get on the float. I was laying on the float when she landed, and that's the face I got. And the message was, I did it. How cool is that? Yeah, it's good. It's good. Where'd Ron go? Thank you, Ron. Wherever you are, thank you for the lead in. On your program, if you'll look at the program for a second, I want to thank the office staff for putting this together for us. On the front, it has the names that Joyce used to get thrown at her. She called herself the country girl. She took great pride in being from West Virginia. And she was a country girl before anybody thought country was cool. Her name, Charlie, I named her that because I thought she always reminded me of Charlie Brown. Big heart, gullible, you can't believe. So whenever Lucy would move the football, he'd still go after it. That's the way she and I had our relationship. I like to pull her leg. Well, I like to pull her leg. But anyway, and then around here, I always introduced her as the bride, and outside too. In fact, many people in the church, I think, thought her name was the bride, because they'd always ask me, how's the bride? So that's why those were on there. So I want you to understand, inside the front cover, I want you to understand that one too. If you haven't seen that picture of Jesus, this was painted by an 8-year-old girl in Chicago. And they have video of her painting it. So it wasn't somebody else did it and then she signed it. It was incredible. It was lost for 20 years, and recently they just found it. So one of their dealers stole it and hid it. And I think that's all I want to tell you on that. But Stephen Covey was a pretty good, famous author back in the 60s and 70s, I think. He wrote a book, The Habits of Highly Successful People. And one of the quotes in his book was talking about an individual who went to their memorial service, and they were there as a spirit, and they were looking down on the memorial service hoping somebody's going to say something good about him. And Covey wrote, and this is what I would say about Joyce. He said, live a life so that folks come to your service, they can say something nice. And that's the way Joyce lived, or you wouldn't be here. A very special lady, and I was lucky to be her partner. I don't think it was lucky. I think God just slapped us together because I needed a shepherd and a keeper. And she was very good at that. But she had a life well lived. That's really important. I'm going to ask Dean Delavera to come up and say the opening prayer. And the reason Dean is on the program is he, the last year or so, was very helpful in helping me shepherd Joyce. He would help get her in and out of the car, in and out of the chair, help her get up and down, and put her in the car, which was very helpful. So, Dean, you want to come up and do the opening prayer? And I'm not going to go up and down these steps more than once, so I'm going to sit.
Welcome, everybody. And Jerry has asked me. Oops, sorry, Jerry.
That's so I could hook you off.
Yeah. like the old Gong Show. Jerry said later on, all the family and friends are going to be able to come up and talk about Joyce, what she meant to them, and hopefully share some experiences. And I, unfortunately, as Jerry mentioned, I got to meet Joyce at the tail end of her life, so I didn't get those experiences, those great experiences that I hope to hear, but I hear them through Jerry. And something like that paragliding photo, and the time they went to England and they went to a little pub, and they were like the only Americans there. They go, what can we eat? Shepherd's pie or bangers? Okay, well, we'll take some shepherd's pie and a Coke. We don't have Coke here. And they gave him some apple cider. She thought that was great, but it was spiked apple cider. She got a little tipsy. So the only experiences I have with Joyce was after she had 2 major medical emergencies. In 2011, more or less, she had a major brain bleed. Almost killed her, but God graced her, gave her some more time. 2 years later, she had a major stomach bleed with convulsions. Almost killed her, but God graced her, gave Jerry 13 more years with his bride, with his country girl. So basically my experience is, the reason I know Jerry is I came to this church and I decided, I prayed about it, to have a mentor. I never had a mentor. So I met Jerry and Joyce here in the sanctuary, and I felt the Holy Spirit with this man, with his wife. And so I asked the head pastor at the time, Mike Openshaw, can I get Jerry's number? Well, he didn't just willy-nilly give me his number. He called Jerry up and said, is it okay if I give your number to Dean? Yeah, go ahead. So I called Jerry up and I said, Jerry, I'm Dean. I met you at the sanctuary. I'd like you to be my mentor. He goes, I don't know if I can handle that pressure. Well, he's handled it quite well. And now we have a good friendship, at least on my part, it's good friendship. So I would help. I'd help Joyce get into the sanctuary one little step at a time because she was so weak. But she wanted to be here to hear the sermons of Mike Openshaw or Jim Price or Christian Clark or the music with Ron Ranson, all these beautiful people we have at this church, because she wanted to be here in God's house. That's it as far as experiences with her. But I did want to share a scripture about our God. Jesus explained him, and he explained about where Joyce is now. This is in Luke 20:37 and 38. Jesus said, but in the account of the bush, the burning bush, where the bush was on fire but it wasn't burning up, Moses was there. Moses showed that the dead will rise, for he calls the Lord the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. He says in 38, he is not a God of the dead, but of the living, for to him all are alive. These men, when Moses called God, Jehovah, when he called him the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, these men had been dead for half a millennium, for 500 years. It would be like saying right now, I'm the God of Christopher Columbus, I'm the God of Ferdinand Magellan. But no, to God, they're all alive. And we know just as surely as God raised Jesus from the dead, that Joyce is up in heaven with our God, safe in his arms. And I'm going to risk this. I have a song I'm going to try to sing about this. It's called He is a God of the Living, about our God. He is a God of the living. He is a God to be praised. He is a God of the living. All who have died will be raised. He is a God of the living. He is a God to be praised. He is a God of the living. Let's worship him all our days. In his eyes, no one dies. They're all alive to our Father. Like precious Joyce, he hears her voice. That is his precious daughter. He is a God of the living. He is a God to be praised. He is a God of the living. All who have died will be raised. He is the way. He is the truth. He is our very life. He takes away the pain we feel. He takes away our strife. He is a God of the living. He is a God to be praised. He is a God of the living. So let's worship him. Come and worship him. Let us worship him all our days. So that's what I have to say about Joyce. So we're going to open this as we always do with God's approval. Let's say a prayer. Dear Father, we come before you and we thank you for being such a marvelous God, a God beyond our comprehension. We can't even fathom the wonderfulness of you, the mightiness of you, the wisdom of you. But we have Jesus that came to earth to explain you. And that's why we come, to learn about you, to learn about how you have taken Joyce and put her in heaven. She's smiling down upon us. She's with you. She's safe in your loving arms. And we have faith that not only Joyce is there, but all those that have passed before. Her son Ed, he's with you. Her granddaughter and her great-granddaughter, we know that you have them all in your arms. You're taking care of that. You're the God we worship. You are the way, you are the truth, and you are the life. We love you. We ask for you to bless us today as we honor Joyce and as we speak about her. And we ask for your Spirit to be upon Jerry as he continues his life in a different chapter without his bride. And we want us as a congregation to huddle around him, to show that love that she showed him. And we ask you, please, dear Lord, hear our prayer. In the name of our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Yeah, just put it back in.
I'm going to pull it out right when you try to sit.
See, I haven't hurt him too badly as a mentor. I'm going to stay up here.
Get back on the back over here.
Ladies and gentlemen, my mic's on. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome Anna Flores. And if you know the song, sing along with us. Anola Flores.
You gonna tell her how we got her?
Yeah. You want me to tell him?
Yeah, you were there.
I was there,
I
okay.
didn't hear too much from you anyway.
All right. Well, I'll do it from here. I'm so used to being over here, okay? I came down to the hospital, and Anola, are you there one day a week? Is that what it is? The one day a week that Anola is there, she goes to the hospital with her guitar, right? Am I telling this right?
So I'm a board certified music therapist, and I work in various healthcare facilities. And so I got a consult request to come and see Joyce, and
Yeah, and that's where we met, and that's where Jerry and Joyce met Anola. And she actually, you're going to hear this song. She learned about Joyce and Joyce's life. And how long does it take? You walked away for 3 minutes, 4 minutes? Walked away for a couple of minutes. And she came back and wrote a song about Anola's life. I mean, about Joyce's life. So Anna will sing, she will sing that a little later. But now we have, it's Pastor Christian Clark. But fantastic musician. It's a pleasure to play with her.
And we always talk about how God's timing is perfect. She showed up at 2 o'clock on Tuesday, the 23rd of July, just as we were disconnecting Joyce from the respirator. And she says, "Can I sing for you?" "Yeah, what do you sing?" "Anything you can name." So I said, "Can you do Country Roads?" And she said, "Yeah." So we had a sing-along, because we're from West Virginia, for those who didn't know. And that's our theme song. That picture up on the screen I want to comment about. That's probably next to that picture, my favorite picture. I call her my Audrey Hepburn, for those who are old enough to remember. I think Christian's going to come up now, and he's going to lead us in the 23rd Psalm. Christian?
We're going to do this all together as a group. So if you have your bulletin, or you can go ahead and open it up, and we'll read that together. Psalm 23 says this: "The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. He guides me along the right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil. For you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely your goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever." Amen.
Thank you, Christian. One other picture I want to comment on the front desk out there. If you hadn't seen it when you're coming in, there's another picture of Joyce. I happen to be in that one as a helper. That was our Go West young people picture. We were 40 years old. We had it taken in Carlsbad when we moved out here from Cincinnati. And I wanted to commemorate that. And so we were representing a gambling man and a riverboat girl, a dancing girl. So take a look at that when you go out too. It's really cute. The dog there was our first poodle. His name was Jacques Pierre de Gaulle. I didn't particularly like de Gaulle, so that's why you get the name. I like the dog. Okay.
Jerry, there's a West Side Story picture up there.
Oh, is that up? Oh, that's the first summer we dated. By the way, those who don't know and never heard my story, which you will eventually if you hang around long enough, I met Joyce my senior year of high school, first week of school, and I knew real quick that her daddy didn't allow her to date. It took me 6 months to get a date. I won her on a buck. I bet a buddy who'd get first date. It took me 6 months. But anyway, that is down in the hills of West Virginia. I call that our West Side Story picture. I think we could get in the cast if we... Thanks, Ron. I didn't see that one. Okay, we have a celebration video. It only takes 2.5 minutes, so pay attention. Cindy, you want to come and introduce it? Tell them how you put it together.
Not really, but I will. I, unlike my dad, am not a voracious public speaker at all. But putting her video together was a real privilege. And just the memories of going through literally file boxes full of loose photos. And it was good to do. And I want to thank my daughter for polishing it for me. she's the digital wizard, not me. You'll enjoy it. It's super good.
You ready?
Yes, sir.
3, 2, 1.
Those pictures of our poodles were Joyce's love. Which once in a while people would ask, does he take good care of you? And she'd say, oh yeah, he feeds me 3 meals a day. You don't get between her and her plate. And chocolate. So she had chocolate every night. That was her really favorite thing. I think she tolerated me because I brought chocolate. What do I know? All right. Joyce's song, got that. Okay, it's now open mic time. If somebody'd like to come up and say anything.
Joyce's song that she wrote, that Angela wrote.
Oh, is it?
Is that what that is?
I thought you were going to read your part now and then Anna.
There you go.
Yeah, Memories of Joyce's Life.
That's you.
That's me. That's one of the first things to go. Okay. I did a little vignette about Joyce's life because it was an interesting life. She lived out in the country. The only sport she knew was her bicycle. And she used to tell me what a great bike rider she was. I never saw her and I never saw the bike. I saw her on the bike. I have to take that at faith. But she was an only child and was pretty lonesome most of the time because she had to play with herself or her cat. And I learned about that when I was traveling 5 days a week all over the country. And I'd come home And she wanted to talk. She wanted adult time because she didn't get it when she was little. In fact, in school, she talked so much, one of her teachers locked her in a closet to shut her up. You couldn't do that now, but remember, this is West Virginia. They have standards. But anyway, it was interesting how we met. As I said, you'll hear about that in a minute. This is titled A Country Girl. She really felt herself being a country girl, and she took great pride in that. But Joyce is the only child of Herbert and Lillian Clovis. She was born on a kitchen table in a farmhouse in Mannington, West Virginia. That's critical if you're going to be a country girl. Born in the mountains, on a farm, on a kitchen table. So she had the title of country girl. Joyce was raised on Turkey Foot Road. Now you can't get any more country than Turkey Foot Road, right? Unfortunately, I knew where she lived because I used to fish across the street from her when I was 12, 13, 14. So when I met her, I knew where she was. It was outside the city limits of a steel town named Weirton, West Virginia. It's 30 miles west of Pittsburgh. It's right on the Ohio River. It was a little town and made for a happy childhood. And before she knew it, she was going to high school. Armed with good advice from two ladies, that in office practice she had to have some business experience. So they sent her to the 5 and Dime. It was called 5 and 10, right? And she made peanuts and candy. That was her job. Can you imagine a job for a kid making peanuts and candy? But anyway, there was two ladies there making 75 cents an hour. And they kept telling her, you got to get a good education. You've got to get a good job. You don't know what your future is going to be like. You have to be able to take care of yourself. Boy, she took that to heart. She was an amazing personal secretary. And we'll hear a little bit more about that in a minute. But she could do 120 words shorthand and 80 words typing. And just very, very skilled. So anyway, she wanted to be able to support herself if needed. It was a good thing, as we'll find out here in a minute. During the first week of her junior year, and I was a senior, I spotted her between classes, as did another friend. I was smitten. I thought, back in the 50s, poodle skirts, Angora sweaters, bobby socks. I mean, you can't get a better picture than that. And she's going between classes, and I spotted her out the window of another class. And Buddy and I got to talking about how cute she was and who could get the first date. So we bet $1. Now, back then, gas was 19 cents a gallon, so $1 was a pretty good bet. So anyway, advised by a mutual friend that she wasn't allowed to date by decree of a strict country dad, I made my way out into the country and won the heart of her mom. Her mom was pulling weeds up in her yard. They had a couple acres and a nice little brick house in the middle of it, and she was pulling weeds. So I thought, well, I can't get anywhere through Daddy. And in West Virginia, we have a phrase, pet the cow to kiss the calf. So I thought, I'm going to go talk to Mama. So I parked my car and climbed up the hill, up into the yard, and startled her mom. I told her, I said, well, Miss Clovis, I told her my name, and I said, I went to the square dance, which is the only time she was allowed out in the month. One night a week, square dancing. Neighbors took her, brought her home. So I guess Daddy thought she was safe. But I found her anyway. But anyway, but I didn't get anything from her because she knew she couldn't date. She wasn't going to invest anything in me. But anyway, I said, I met your daughter at the square dance, and I really like your daughter. And I said, I understand full well she's not allowed to date, and I respect that. I said, but next year she's going to be a senior, and she'll eventually be allowed to date. I said, I want you to know who I am, I want you to know my intentions, and I'm first in line. Mama fell in love. Took me 6 months from September, first week of school, till April, when we had a Sadie Hawkins dance, because she had to get on a school bus to go home right after school. She had no extracurricular activities. But her girlfriend, who introduced the two of us, said, why don't you ask me? And so she did. But then I had to go out and deal with Daddy, and that's another story. Well, I made my way out into the country, and I said I met Joyce's mom, the real boss of the home, and I was glad to find that out too. Well, at the Sadie Hawkins dance, I had to go pick her up. This is a cute thing too. She'd never been on a date. I am the only boy that girl ever dated, which was good for me because I was just as naive as she was. You know, I think we played it seeing who could find the light switch. But anyway, went out there to pick her up, and after negotiating with her dad, he said, well, where is it, how long is it, and when are you bringing her home? And I said, well, when do you want her home? He said, a half hour after it's over, son, you'll be through that door. Now, he was a West Virginia hillbilly. He looked like a scrawny Abraham Lincoln, if you could picture that. I'm serious. But anyway, I was there to pick her up. So after the negotiations were over, Joyce and her mom come out of the little bedroom next to the living room. They come out. And, you know, back in the 50s, girls wore little short white rabbit fur jackets. They called them shrugs. Anybody remember that? Yeah. And she had one. It was on a chair by the front door. So my mama trained me well. I picked the jacket up. I'm going to help her on with her jacket. She looks at me with a strange look, and she grabbed it out of my hands, and she says, that's mine. Nobody'd ever helped her on with a coat before. I mean, I'm telling you, this was an interesting experience. Yeah, it was tender. 25 years later, we're sitting on the beach in Maui on our 25th anniversary, and I said, well, what had originally attracted me to you? And she said without hesitation, oh, you had good manners. I guess out in the country, they didn't help people on with their coats and stuff. But anyway, I won the bet too, by the way. I got the $1. And this is written down here, our marriage of 68 years was launched. We actually had 70 years together, but 68 hand in hand. And I tell you, I miss that boy. You guys value your brides, because when they're gone, they're gone. She worked as a secretary for a Major Schreiner. He was the base flying safety officer. If you don't know anything about the military, if you're a major, you want to be a colonel. And they don't want to make mistakes. Understand, Joyce has never held at this time a full-time job. He hired her anyway. Her skills were so great. And she did a good job for him for 3 years. And thank goodness, because they weren't paying much for families back in the 50s, because they didn't want families. They just wanted single folks to be in the military. And we couldn't live on $135 a month. And so she took over and was the breadwinner for 3 years, and then she retired. She looked at me and said, I did my part. So there you go. And guess where Schreiner was from? West Virginia. Why do you think God put him there? To hire Joyce. I mean, the stuff is just amazing. It's just God's hands in everything. We started our family, and 3 years later, we returned to West Virginia, where we began a busy life of multiple activities and community service. As a little girl, Joyce started attending a nearby country chapel with a close neighbor, which sparked a lifelong love of God and service. She was teaching kids Sunday school. She was leading a Cub Scout troop. She started a Bluebird and Campfire Girl troop. She drove remote country neighbors to polling booths so they could vote. She took them to grocery stores. And while raising her 2 kids, all this before she was 30 years old, she was a dynamo. I used to tell her I can't keep up with her on my best day. She thought that was funny. But it was true. A work-related move to Cincinnati, Ohio for most of the 70s created more opportunities to serve and to grow. Joyce was always a natural force in every kitchen of every church she ever attended. During this time, the kids were in youth group, and so we got involved in that, and we ended up leading the youth group in Cincinnati. Our children, Ed and Cindy's here, unfortunately Ed passed away several years ago, finished high school just in time for the biggest and last work-related move. Condition of employment that I could live where it's nice. And they said, well, where is that? I said, I don't know. I've never been further west than Lubbock, Texas, and that's not nice. I said, and I'm not going back there. They said, well, figure out where nice is, and if they got a good airport, we don't care where you live. All the other officers of the company were in Des Moines, Iowa, and they weren't happy, but apparently they must have seen something they wanted in me. I don't know what it was. But anyway, Ed and Cindy finished high school for the last move. In San Diego County, we moved to San Diego County, and what did I write down here? Oh, there was a photo on the counter out there. I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but anyway, it's the year we moved out here, and I wanted to commemorate the move. I did tell you about that. See, Dancing Girl and Riverboat Gambler is the picture. San Diego County has been our home for the last 46 years. We became active members of Lighthouse, formerly Twin Cities Christian Church. Joyce became one of the faithful women that show up and serve every opportunity and event. May God bless our church ladies. I am so grateful for the women of this church that set everything up. And we didn't have, yeah, please. The staff, the folks in the office, it's been a pleasure to put this together. No stress at all. It's really quite amazing. Oh, and people say, well, how you feeling? I feel good. And why do I feel good? Because Joyce had a great life. And many experiences that most people never get to have. And she just wore out. It was time for her to go home. And God made that possible. Accompanied by West Virginia. Thank you, Neil. So anyway, where are we? Oh, she also hosted the spring tea for the women for several years. She had me making 300 and 400 croissant sandwiches. I said, why do I have to do this? She says, because I asked you to. Just that simple. She also hosted our annual picnic trip to Moonlight Theater and home study groups for many years. She was a supreme organizer, and Cindy's got that gene, as does Lily, and shared her gifts generously with anyone who needed them. The country girl became a frequent traveler, enjoying over 50 cruises of much of the world. Oh, I gotta tell you this. We got married. I was pretty full of myself. You'd never guess that. But I told her when I asked her to marry me, I said, now you got to understand, we're going to be on a fast track and we're going to do a lot of things. This is a girl who never did anything but ride a bike. She had no idea what she was saying yes to. But we went all over the world, and you saw in the slides if you caught it, she learned to do everything. She learned to water ski, snow ski, parasail, fish. We did whitewater rapids. I dunked her once in some serious snow melt, whitewater rapids. I told her, hang on to your paddle if we go over. So we go over. It was so cold I couldn't yell, hold on. I mean, it was that cold. We got out about 100 feet down when he got out of the rapids. She was still holding on her paddle, but it was broken off right at her hand. That's how rough it was. This was a brand new ash paddle. Just snapped it off, but she held on to her paddle. So anyway, the cruises were great. We were so blessed by the amazing beauty of God's creation all over the world, and we had some wonderful personal experiences. And many other travelers were also blessed to cross paths with Joyce by sharing a dinner table for a week with us on all these cruises. And they got to hear about God and Lighthouse and you. And a lot of people took that to heart. We'd go up for coffee after the show in the evening in the buffet, and people stop by the table and tell us, we really appreciated your story and thank you. So I guess it was meaningful. God was faithfully merciful during her many illnesses and health catastrophes, starting in the 3rd grade. She had a large purple tumor on her neck. She said it stuck out bigger than a golf ball. And it prompted her family to have Christmas in July. They didn't think she was going to be there in December. But God had other things because he knew I was coming down the road. So he was keeping her there for me. But anyway, they held this Christmas in July just in case. She survived a broken spine in her 20s. Do you know Tarzan and Jane? They swing on monkey vines. She was out with her Girl Scout troop, and we found a really nice monkey vine. West Virginia has monkey vines where you swing out. And the girls wanted to ride on it, so I got on it, and it held me okay. So they all did it, and then, Joyce, you got to do that. You know, they wanted her to do it. And I said it broke her spine. She had on kid gloves. Monkey vines are slippery. She got on the thing, got up to the top of the swing, and it started slipping. She slipped off the monkey vine and slammed her spine and her butt into the side of the hill. Saturday in West Virginia, taking aspirins, come see me on Monday. So we never got it checked. But she actually fractured something, and years later it showed up. She ended up having 2 straps and 6 screws put in her back. But anyway, Joyce survived a broken spine in her 20s and a brain bleed and surgery, as Dean commented on recently. And she was on life support for 6 weeks with sepsis and pneumonia up in Templeton, up in wine country, from a stomach bleed that we didn't know she had, but she aspirated stomach fluid and acid into her lungs. This was about 8-10 years ago. And she died instantly in the back seat of the car. She stopped breathing. She's convulsing, you know. And I'm on 101, just 20 miles north of San Luis Obispo, and I didn't know what to do. So I said a quick prayer, Lord, I need some help here. The only hospital within 20 miles was the exit right in front of me. 3:30 in the morning. I had no idea where I was. I didn't know where there were any hospitals, but God provided it. She was up there 4.5, 5 weeks, and she was on every kind of tube you could get, including feeding tubes and everything else. And I took our wedding picture in there and I put it by her bed, and I told the folks, I says, this is what I brought in here. That's what I expect to take home. Get busy. And they did. But I was there every day to help them. So, but anyway, she had a really tough health life. She had a broken hip that she got in Home Depot down here, and survived COVID and 5 serious falls the last 5 years. We prayed she'd be pain-free, unafraid, and at peace. She was all of those things right up to her last breath, which was incredible. God took good care of her. Joyce was tenacious and uncomplaining. She would say to anybody when she passed them, it's a good day. When they say, how you doing? It's a good day. She was always optimistic and always a country girl. God surely made an example of her ability to display faith in his plan to everyone she encountered. She had a life well lived, and I would wish the same for each of you. A final thought from Joyce herself. If you have God in your picture, you have it all. That's the end of that. Okay, what's the next thing we're going to do here? Oh, Steelworker's Daughter. As Ron said, this young lady asked me about Joyce's life, and she's changing the lyrics on this song as I'm telling her. She rewrote all the lyrics to Coal Miner's Daughter to make it Steelworker's Daughter. This is a very talented young lady.
Thank you, Jerry. I got to hear a lot of those stories when I came and visited you all in the hospital, and
Do you have the words to this I can get up on the screen? Yes, okay, we're working on one.
and as he was telling me these stories, I thought, you know, I have a song. Can I play it for you? It's Coal Miner's Daughter by Loretta Lynn. And I'm wondering if you'd be open to having me change some of the words so we can make a special song for Joyce. So we worked out some of the lyrics, and this is Steelworker's Daughter.
I was born a steelworker's daughter in the hills of West Virginia on the kitchen table. We were poor, but we had love. That's the one thing Daddy made sure of. Shoveled iron ore to make a poor man's dollar. Daddy worked all night, steel mills, all day long in the field hoeing corn. Mommy rocked the babies at night and read the Bible by the coal oil light. Everything would start all over come break of morn. I went to church every Sunday morning, provided meals and helped the women's ministry. I love to serve the community and help others in need. I always saw the big picture in front of me. I took the bus to school every day. marched with the band on the horn I pretended to play. Jerry won the bet to meet the prettiest girl to go square dancing. That date was the start of history. Got married when I was just 18, and I barely knew how to do the laundry. I didn't know how to boil water. After years, I learned to cook and feed the growing family. Joyce has a tenacious spirit. She's patient, kind, and she wouldn't quit. 68 years of love, family and grandkids around. Our mama, our favorite country girl.
Isn't that amazing? And that was on the spot with everything going on in the ICU room. And just incredible young lady. Wow, what's next on this thing? This is open mic? The workers already, yeah. Okay, open mic. If anybody has any memory or something they want to say about Joyce or for Joyce or what have you, please do. I would suggest you keep it under 45 minutes. So come on up. We're not going to call any names, just come on up if anybody has anything they want to say, including family. If I fall off the stage, just ignore it. Anybody got anything to say? I'm not saying a lot of time. Okay, that's all right. You can say it out on the patio. We'll all be out there shortly. What's that? Where's Gail? Ah. Well, when you got all these bright lights in your eyes, you can't see anything. And I can't see anything anyway, so. You make it? There you go.
Hello, everybody. I just want to say that I met Joyce back at Twin Cities Church about 25 years ago. We became fast friends. We did a lot of things together. We attended Vesta's Bible study for 10 years. We went to lunch for nearly 20 years every week. We spent a lot of time together. There was a time when I was chairman of the bereavement committee, and you never know when somebody's going to go home to the Lord. And last minute notice, we'd have to make arrangements and plans for the family and a service. And she wound up being my right hand. Everything, whatever I needed, she was there to help me. We did that for about 12, 13 years, and it was wonderful. As time went on and she started having the medical problems, and she had the problem after she had her brain surgery, I think it was about 9 years ago, she had a hard time remembering words and how to put things together, which was always interesting, but she always found a way to do it. The first time after, I think it was about 6 months, Jerry, that we went to lunch, we were sitting there trying to have a conversation. She knew me then as that girl because she couldn't remember my name, but she knew me. So that girl came to pick her up. Who's coming? That girl. Okay. And we went to lunch, and as we sat there in IHOP, we had planned that year to go through every item on the menu. We didn't make it because there was things she didn't like, but we tried. So we sat there, and I was trying to engage her in conversation about the things in the past, her dog powder, and things like that, and just talk about the country. She always talked about the country. I could probably describe the tree that was next to her house because she knew it well, bark by bark. And we were sitting there, and she wasn't responding or talking back. And I looked at her, I says, "Joyce, are you going to answer?" And she goes, "No, you know the story." You can answer for me. And I thought, well, that's interesting. Okay, and as the weeks went on, she did get better. But as Jerry tells the story, of that one time she could not remember what a straw was. And in order to let you know what she wanted, she called it the water carrier. The water carrier. That was her word for a straw, a water carrier. But one of the funniest things that I had related to Jerry was we were in the car one time and we were going to lunch, and she had told me that somebody had given her gift certificates to a restaurant, and she had misplaced them for over a year. But she was so excited because she found them. And I said, wow, Joyce, that's really amazing after a year. Where did you find them? And she said, I was very patient. She goes, and she looks around the car and she goes, in the car closet. In the car closet. And I just thought, wow, that is brilliant. To be able to express yourself in a way to make it known to somebody else without knowing that it's a glove compartment. I said, oh, the glove compartment. She goes, yes, the car closet. We had a really good time, always. In the last few years, and I miss her ham and croissant sandwiches and Lily, right? Oh my gosh. She made anybody who ever had one of her ham sandwiches, croissant sandwiches at a gathering or something, they were amazing. One year we hosted the tea. Together we had a table. We used to do different things for the women's tea every year, and this year it was the women of the church would host their own table. And she helped me tremendously that year. We hosted a table. And, it was just amazing. And when we moved here to this building, the first year we did not have the Valentine's banquet. And we were talking about it, and we really missed it. And I went to Andrea, and I said, Andrea, we have to have a Valentine's banquet again. And she said, if you want to have a Valentine's banquet, you put it together. I said, okay, I could do that, not realizing how much work was really involved. But Joyce was right there to help me. And that started the yearly banquets again here at the church. And the next year, I had gone to Andrea and I said, the banquet was so wonderful, let's have another one. She goes, if you want to have another one, you do it. And I said, okay, well, come the third year, she didn't ask me, and I didn't say anything, and all of a sudden she's like, Gail, are we going to have a Valentine's banquet? I said, I don't know if we are. You do it. And that was the last time I was chairman of the Valentine's Day banquet. But I always helped out. Joyce was always there helping, and Jerry, and we'd come to the church and decorate and fix the tables the night or day before, and it was always a good time. But the last 2 years were getting very difficult for Joyce to get out, to go to lunch, to spend time together. It would break my heart. I would see her and I would really try, and I honestly don't think she knew who I was here lately.
She knew who you was, she just didn't know what you were called.
Yeah, that girl. Yes, that girl. So we stopped going to lunch, but we would meet, Steve and I would meet Jerry down at Coyote or somewhere and have breakfast together or lunches together now and then. But it broke my heart, and I could just see how she had been declining. And when the Coyotes got a hold of her lovey, that was so sad. And but before Lovey was Powder, and she did not remember who Powder was, and she loved that dog. Could not believe that she could not remember that dog. That's all she ever talked about and carried around was that white poodle Powder. And then Lovey come along, thanks to Cindy. Lovey come along, and she loved that dog too. But lately it was getting really hard for her. But she never wanted to miss church or be around people. And it was just wonderful to see how good she was, how much she loved people, her family especially. Oh, she loved her family and her church family and her friends, and she would help anybody. It didn't matter if she knew you or not. And I will always remember what a good friend she was to me and to a lot of other people. Oh, I'm getting God bumps. Oof. She was such a good person and such a loving person. And she will be missed, but she will, more than anything, she will be remembered. And that's my story of how much I love and I'm going to miss Joyce. But thank you. Thank you, Carey.
When she had her brain bleed, to stop the bleeding, they had to cauterize and take out the bleeding mass. And some of her short-term memory was lost. She couldn't remember labels. She couldn't tell you what things were, but she knew what they were for, i.e. the water carrier. Straw is a water carrier. Straw doesn't mean anything. So I had to learn a new language. She told me one day, I says, where do you want to go eat? I was thinking breakfast. She says, the egg place. The egg place. I'm thinking broken yolk. Okay, we can go there. I said, broken yolk? She says, no. The one place where they lay the chickens lay eggs. Colonel Sanders. Oh, I'm telling you, it was an exciting run because I had to learn. What I learned was the picture in her mind was a total different picture than was in my mind. And she expected me to figure it out. She says, you know, for a smart guy, you're not very intelligent. She had a way, boy, when she wanted to know something, she would tell you. But that was an interesting period because she couldn't come up with labels. What she said was, did you get the picture? Everything was a picture. And I guess in her head, she had a picture. Did I get the picture? I'd say, is it a good picture or a bad picture? If it was a bad picture, I said, well, let God handle it. A good picture? What's it all about? So we'd work out what the good picture was. But it was an interesting run. But she never got frustrated. She never got ornery. Always kind. Just amazing what a good gal she was. I would hope everybody will age as well as she did. We do? Well, get yourself up here, woman. Gee, I can't see anything out there with those lights. Yeah, that's on.
Oh, hi, I'm Marilyn Barton Wolk. We've been at this church 21 years. I met Jerry and Joyce at First Christian, I think in the 80s. And she had a beautiful way to put the women's group together. And they lived in Carlsbad and had a jacuzzi. And she had a lunch together for the women in the church. I'll never forget how gracious she was and how organized. And then later, with Lighthouse, she came to almost every women's brunch. Jerry would bring her and have one of us order what she wanted. She was with the lunch bunch. And she never wanted to miss a thing with church. She was such a gracious lady. And we really loved her, and she loved us. And even if she couldn't remember your name, she'd say, take your hand, and hi, how are you, and that kind of thing. And she was just amazing. We loved her. And thank you, Jerry, for bringing her to all those luncheons. And then he'd sit in the back and share the word of the Lord, like at the buffet, the country buffet, Golden Corral. And we'd see him over at the Olive Garden. And that was a tradition, go to Olive Garden for lunch. And just, she was just really sweet. And Jerry brought the bride everywhere, just everywhere. So thank you very much. And
thank you, Marilyn.
This was a lovely memorial.
Appreciate your comments. Well, look at this. Okay, Tammy. You just go right ahead. I'm going to lean right here.
Not a good combination. Hi, I'm Tammy Jo, and I'm Cindy's soul sister. We met in 1986, and within a few months of meeting, I was over at Joyce and Jerry's home while they were on one of their many travels. And probably that one evening really did change the course of my life because, again, I latched on to Cindy, and in turn I latched on to Joyce and Jerry and their family. And I got to have this special little view of this wonderful relationship, which has always been so admirable and aspirational for me. I've known many people that have managed to stay together till death do us part, but I haven't met many couples that really genuinely liked each other. And the Charlie that was kind of glossed over, I want to address this because Joyce, I was always a struggling single mother for most of my son's years growing up, and they just took on this really special role with me and my son, and we were graced with this extended family that we never expected to have, and we got to go through the milestones with them, and but Joyce would have me come over a couple times. She'd have me come over like annually and do a project around her house so I could get some extra money for Christmas, for example. And I would be there. Joyce was probably at some church function, I'm sure. And here's Jerry calling from Des Moines. And he's leaving a voicemail for Charlie, saying how he can't wait to get back home and how much fun they're going to have and how much he misses her. And I really felt a little embarrassed to be hearing all of it. But at the same time, I felt so, again, encouraged. And you guys in your relationship has always really been like the pinnacle for me. And to be able to be a part of your journey, I feel so grateful. And you know, and I have Lily now, and Hunter, and Harvey, and you know, it's all such a gift. And without this woman, my life would be incomplete. So anyway, thank you for letting me share.
Thank you, Tammy. I didn't know you were listening to my message. It's amazing what you find out sometimes, huh? Go ahead, Brenda.
Just a couple of quick things. Most of my memories of, find the right spot. Thank you. Most of my memories of Joyce are with Jerry. It's a them kind of memory, just with church and everything. So I need clarification because you talked about the ham croissant sandwiches. Who was the Cincinnati chili preparer? That was you? Okay, because I did not want to let that go by. If that was Joyce, she needed credit. So, okay.
Yeah.
Because I remember the get-togethers over chili. Okay, thank you. And then the other thing is, this is another relationship thing, but it highlights how important Joyce was to Jerry. Because he would tell stories sometimes in the Joy class. Now, this was before the medical issues.
The surgeries,
this was a long time ago. They came home from, I guess it was a cruise, one of the cruises, and, got home, and the dogs got out, and a coyote came and snagged one of them and ran off with it. Jerry chased that thing down and wrestled the dog out of the coyote's mouth because he knew how important those poodles were to Joyce, and he was not going to let her have to go through that. And so that's a testament to their relationship and the importance that she had for him.
I'd rather fight the coyotes than Joyce. Thank you, Brenda. Nice hat.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name's Madeline Kozub. I'm a member here, and I've known Joyce and Jerry for 20 plus years. Been coming here a long time, and I always remember them just being so warm and loving and caring towards each other. But why I wanted to come up, because we've shared that a lot. But my mother passed away in January of 2023, and she lived with me, and we were really close. But I remember her sharing when she would, years ago, when she would come down to visit and she'd come to church with me, there was a very, very active senior group. And Jerry and Joyce were very active in that. And Dick Miller, who used to be our senior minister, as many of you know, he would arrange all these different trips all over the place. And my mother just felt very connected with the seniors. I wasn't quite a senior then, but I said, well, why don't you go on one of those trips? So she did. And they went to Arizona for something. I don't know what. But she roomed with Joyce. And that's why I brought it up, because she just said how much fun she had and how loving and caring Joyce was. So that's why I came today, too, because it means a lot to me about my mom, because I miss my mom so much, too. And they're together. I was thinking about them just kind of flitting around here and enjoying things. So thank you.
Thank you. That's perfect. I got a cute story about one of those trips, but we don't have time for me to tell it. Anybody else? Don't want to cut anybody off. Okay. Well, you can share stories out on the patio. We'd love to hear them. We know what a special lady Joyce was, and we've had experiences that most people would love to have in their life with her, because she was just outstanding in everything that she did. And when you think, when I married her, she could not boil water. No, it's amazing. Her mom could do anything. She's a country girl. She could farm, she could butcher, she could freeze stuff, she could can stuff. She could make 25 pounds of bread. You know, flour, you got to knead that stuff. She was just a powerful lady to make 10, 12 loaves at a time. And Joyce didn't learn the recipe. Phew! It was like eating cake. I mean, it was amazing bread. It really was. But anyway, her mom could do everything. And I'd go every Thursday night and Saturday night. She'd have a full dinner for me at 9 o'clock after I finished my retail work as a teenager. And Mom didn't want me off the hook, I guess. She fed me twice a week. That's just more than my mom did. But anyway, I'd go out there and her mom would fix stuff. But there was always incredible food there. And I thought I was marrying her mom. Ended up marrying her dad. Boy, you knew when Herb was taking over. Boy, she'd get that look on her face, and she said, she wouldn't even have to say it. It was, don't mess with this. You know, it was just amazing. But I was sad about that. Thought, geez, at least she could have learned to do something. One dish she made for me, I'll share this because it's fun and it's cute. First thing she cooked for me was spaghetti. And the spaghetti was so beautiful, I took a picture of it. It looked like a magazine cover. I mean, it was beautiful spaghetti. I took one bite of it, and the second picture was going in the trash. How can you screw up spaghetti? I don't know what she did, but she could cook by recipe. And I think it said, put some oregano in. Well, you know what oregano tastes like if you get too much. It was not edible. I would have eaten the cardboard if she'd have cooked it, but you could not eat this. It was so bad. So that, I think, is when she made up her mind that she was going to learn to cook, and boy, did she learn how to cook. And the problem recently, with her memory deterioration, She stopped cooking because she get to the third item in her recipe and she couldn't remember the first two. So we started eating 21 meals a week out. 3 meals a day, 7 days a week, we would go eat our meals out. Did two things. Kept me from having to go shopping and cooking and cleaning and all that nonsense. And it gave her a change of venue 3 times a day and got her out and about and socializing and everything, which was a good thing for all of us. So everything works to good if you work it, and we made the most of our opportunities. What's the next thing we got on here? So what does it say, sister? Jim's up to bat. Can he? Oh, Amazing Grace. See? Okay, come on, Ron. And I think Anella's going to help him. Thank you, sweetie.
Won't you please stand and sing with us? Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
Now is it Jim's turn?
Now it's Jim's turn. Yeah.
Look, he can get up there.
Stick around here, Jerry. Okay. This is very unusual for the husband to do the service for his wife, but I think it is incredibly appropriate, and I think it has been an honor to Joyce to have Jerry, in his way, lead this service, I think, better than any pastor could have done it. I really do. Amen. Deidre and I have been here for about 8 months, and the first week we were here, I don't know who told us, but I don't know, we were talking about love stories or something, and someone said, well, you've got to talk to Jerry and Joyce Carey. So they were sitting here, so I asked them, I said I would like to talk to them. We went out to lunch, we went to a place, they knew Jerry and Joyce already, they knew them, and we sat there, and I heard their stories. We heard their stories, their love story. You heard part of it today. Also, Jerry told us some of the miracles that he was part of in this church, of how this church even got to this property and all of those things. And it was that was like our second or third week here, and it was the first persons we went out to lunch with, I think, in this church. Well, we've heard the story of Joyce, and it was wonderful seeing those pictures. There were a couple. I love this one too, but there were a couple, and I love this one on the cover. There was another one there I saw that I really thought, wow, what a beautiful couple, and all through your marriage, long marriage, to have love and to be married, what was it, 68 years, and to partners. You mentioned the name partner. I really think, and I think that's why it was so appropriate for you to do this service, because we saw you every Sunday, and you and Joyce, partners, sharing together. It was a blessing for us always to have Joyce here, and you would come in, and your daughter was there, and it was always precious. And a testimony not everybody recognized, but a lot of obviously a lot of people knew. A lot of people knew that story. Well, I'll close in prayer, but I want to read one brief passage that we can thank God that this is the situation for Joyce today. In the book of Revelation, here's what John wrote. Then I heard a voice from heaven say, "Write, blessed are the dead who die in the Lord from now on. Yes, says the Spirit, they will rest from their labor, for their deeds will follow them." Great promise from God. Let's pray. Father, we meet here today to honor and to remember Joyce, and at the same time we're seeing Jerry as a partner, two partners, Joyce and Jerry together, how they blessed each other, how they lived their life, and were a great blessing to the people of Lighthouse, how they gave their lives to you, were faithful to you, honored you, set an incredible example of a married couple. Father, we thank you that we have been enriched by both Joyce and Jerry. We also rejoice that one day we're going to see Joyce again, and that she is with you, and she is happy and healthy and whole again right now. And someday we're going to see her at her best. We're thankful for that. Thank you for each of these who have come this afternoon to give honor and to share the loss also that we and Jerry and the family will feel. And so we ask you to bless and comfort and strengthen them, but fill all of us with a strong, powerful hope that we're going to see Joyce again, and we're going to share together, all together, with all the saints in heaven forever. In Jesus' name, amen.
One last comment about Joyce's dad. You think Trump's wall is high? You should have seen his wall. Anyway, he says, "Why do you want to marry my daughter?" And I stood up to my 6 feet and I said, "I want to take care of her, sir." You like that answer? And I think I have. Okay, and it was a privilege. We're going to dismiss now to the patio, and we're going to have some snacks and lunch. I don't know what's out there, but the ladies all put it together, and I'm grateful for that. I want to thank you again for being here. I want to thank you for sharing the thoughts that really says, like Covey said, live your life so that people can say good things. Bride did. So our exit song is "You Light Up My Life," and I hope you can hear the words to this. It's very, very appropriate. Ron? After they're done, we can adjourn to the patio.
So many nights I sit by my window, waiting for someone to sing me a song. So many dreams I kept deep inside me, alone in the dark.
Angela Flores.
Thank you.